Did you know California contains the hottest place on Earth, the tallest trees on the planet, and a lake so deadly it can kill birds mid-flight? It's not just a state. It's a land of extremes, illusions, and wild frontier mystery. A place where cowboys once ruled, earthquakes rewrite the ground beneath your feet, and entire towns have vanished into desert silence. Tonight, we ride deep into the geography of California, where every mile hides something unbelievable, and every fact sounds almost impossible. The furnace of the planet. Death Valley once reached 134 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest air temperature ever recorded on Earth, turning sand into scorching waves of heat shimmer. Wagons crossing the desert in the 1800s often melted grease from their axles. The pioneers traveled at night to survive. Even today, rocks mysteriously walk across racetrack playa, sliding across dry earth without human touch. Scientists say ice and wind push them, but standing there alone, watching trails carved into cracked desert floor, feels supernatural, like the desert itself is alive, dragging stones through silence under a burning sky. The tallest living giants. California's coastal redwoods soar over 370 feet tall, taller than a 35-story skyscraper, making them the tallest trees on Earth. These ancient giants began growing before the Roman Empire existed. Cowboy loggers once tried to cut them with primitive saws, sometimes taking weeks to fell a single tree. Walking beneath them feels like stepping into another world, where sunlight barely reaches the forest floor and fog drifts like ghostly smoke. Some trees are so massive you could drive a car through them. And yes, people once did, turning living trees into roadside attractions. The lake that kills. Mono Lake looks peaceful, shimmering blue beneath vast skies, but its waters are 3 times saltier than the ocean and highly alkaline. Birds that land here often die from toxic conditions, yet millions of brine shrimp thrive beneath the surface. Rising from the water are eerie. Did you know California has a mountain range that's literally sliding north like a slow-motion conveyor belt? A state rock that can be naturally laced with asbestos? And a breach where the ocean sometimes glows electric blue at night? Strap in. This is the Golden State with the volume turned up, where deserts sing, cliffs breathe fog, cow towns meet tech empires, and the roadside is basically a museum of American weirdness. Number 1. A volcano that grew a new peak overnight. In 1943, a farmer in the Mexican state of Michoacan watched a volcano rise in a cornfield. But California has its own blink-and-you'll-miss-it eruption story too. Lassen Peak erupted in the early 1900s, and its 1915 explosion blasted ash, rock, and a pyroclastic surge that reshaped the landscape like a giant bulldozer made of fire. The park today still hisses and steams like it's keeping a secret. It's the kind of place that makes you whisper because the ground feels like it remembers. Number 2. The 3-plate knot that makes California twitch. Up near the north coast, California hosts the Mendocino Triple Junction, where 3 tectonic plates collide in a barroom brawl beneath the sea. It's a geological knot that helps explain why that region gets slammed with earthquakes so often, and why the coastline looks torn, rugged, and unfinished. It's not a neat single fault line. It's a messy collision zone where the Earth's crust is constantly being rewritten. If California were a movie, this is the scene where the soundtrack starts rumbling before anything happens. Number 3. A national seashore built on a moving puzzle piece. Point Reyes looks like classic coastal California. Fog, cliffs, elk, windsurf. But here's the twist. It's on the Pacific Plate, while most nearby land is on the North American plate. That means Point Reyes is basically a huge chunk of California hitching a ride northward over time. Stand there with the wind in your face and you're not just sightseeing, You're standing on a different piece of the Earth that's drifting like a slow parade float in the planet's tectonic carnival. Number 4. The mountain range still rising like a slow elevator. The Sierra Nevada isn't done growing. It's been uplifted over geological time, and the range still shows signs of being a high tilted block, like one side got cranked upward. That's why the eastern ridge drops dramatically toward the desert, while the western side rolls more gently into the foothills. This is frontier terrain that shaped wagon routes, mining towns, and modern water politics. When you drive those passes, you're not just climbing a mountain. You're crossing a giant, still tilting slab of the continent. Number 5. The state rock that's both gorgeous and dangerous. California's state rock is serpentine. Green, waxy looking, and weirdly beautiful. But here's the drama. Serpentine can naturally contain chrysotile asbestos fibers. That doesn't mean every rock is a hazard, but it adds a weird layer to the idea of the state symbol. California literally picked a rock with a twist ending. And serpentine soils create botanical oddballs too. Specialized plants that can survive in mineral-heavy ground where other species tap out. It's geology with attitude and botany with a survival complex. Number 6. A desert that blooms like it's casting a spell. Some years, the desert in Southern California erupts with a super bloom, turning dusty hills into rolling carpets of color. It's not just pretty, it's a meteorological jackpot. The right rains, the right timing, and seeds that have been waiting like buried treasure for years. Old-timers in cowboy country used to read the land by its blooms because flowers meant water, and water meant life. When it happens, the landscape looks like it's lying, like someone painted the desert while you weren't looking. Number 7. The ocean that turns neon blue at night. Along parts of the California coast, the ocean can glow blue with bioluminescence, sometimes lighting up breaking waves like electric paint. It's caused by microscopic organisms in the water, and when conditions line up, the shoreline becomes a science fiction light show. Surfers have ridden glowing waves like they're in a dream, and beachgoers see footprints sparkle in the wet sand. It's one of those moments where you realize California isn't just sunset pretty, it can be straight up extraterrestrial. Number 8. A desert badlands that looks like a melted planet. Anza Borrego's Badlands are carved into jagged ridges and twisted gullies that look like the earth got wrung out like a towel. Flash floods slice the ground into sharp folds, revealing layers of ancient sediment like a torn history book. It's the kind of place where you can stand in silence and feel time pressing in from all directions. And then, road twist. The area also hosts giant metal sculptures scattered across the desert, like someone dropped a surreal art gallery into the wilderness. Number 9. A peak to desert wind that can hit like a hairdryer. California's downslope winds, from Santa Ana in the south to Diablo winds in the north, can turn the hot air dry and furious in hours. These winds don't just blow. They behave like nature flipping a switch, pulling moisture out of the landscape and setting the stage for explosive fire behavior. Frontier ranchers learn to fear these winds the way sailors fear storms. When they arrive, the sky feels tense, trees seem to hiss, and the whole state can feel like it's holding its breath. Number 10. The cliff fog water machine that feeds a coast. California's coastal fog isn't just mood lighting. It's a hydration system. Fog can drip off vegetation, cool ecosystems, and help sustain plant life during dry stretches. In some coastal zones, fog is practically a seasonal water delivery service, rolling in like a soft gray tide. Indigenous communities, ranchers, and lighthouse keepers all learned its patterns because fog shaped travel, survival, and even stories. When that fog pours over ridgelines, it looks like the ocean climbing onto land to reclaim it. Number 11. A river that once ran backwards for miles. The Los Angeles River is infamous today, But California has a long history of rivers changing course dramatically during major storms and floods. Under extreme conditions, rivers can jump banks, carve new channels, and turn familiar geography into a watery maze. Early settlers learned the hard way that dry riverbeds can become rampaging corridors. In a state built on water engineering, this is the reminder: nature doesn't sign contracts. It reroutes itself when it wants, and people simply scramble to keep up. Number 12. Gold Rush geography that rewired the state. California's gold rush wasn't just history. It was a geographic event. Rivers were diverted, hillsides were blasted with hydraulic mining, and entire landscapes were rearranged to chase glittering flecks. Some valleys still show scars where mountains were literally washed apart. Boomtowns rose where water and gold intersected, then vanished when either ran out. Classic frontier physics. This is the West. Maps changed fast, law arrived late, and geology became destiny. California's terrain didn't just host a gold rush, it powered it. Number 13. A lost volcano whose rocks got dragged across California. Here's a geological stunt. Part of the Pinnacles National Park are believed to be chunks of volcanic material that originated far away, then got shuffled along by fault movement over millions of years. The park's spires and caves feel like a stone city built by giants, but it's really tectonics playing the long game, ripping, transporting, and reassembling the state like a slow-motion jigsaw puzzle. You can hike through it today, basically walking through a relocated piece of ancient volcanic California. Number 14. The coastline that's still being built by shipwreck weather. Northern California's coast is famously rough. Cold currents, jagged rocks, sudden fog. It's a shipwreck coast, and it earned that reputation the hard way. The geography creates hazards that can turn navigation into a gamble, especially before modern tech. And it's not just dangerous, it's dynamic. Cliffs collapse, beaches shift, and storms rearrange the shoreline like a restless animal. You don't just visit this coast, you negotiate with it. It's frontier ocean with a short temper. Number 15. A valley where ancient lakes left salt ghosts behind. Across part of inland California, old lake beds have evaporated into salt flats and mineral crusts, pale, cracked surfaces that look like dried bone. These basins are clues to wetter ancient climates, when water pooled where dust rules now. Some of these places are so bright under the sun, they look snow-covered from a distance. A mirage with teeth. Travelers crossing them in the old days learned quickly, water is king, shade is gold, and the land doesn't care how tough you think you are. Number 16. A roadside dinosaur that became desert legend. California's highways are lined with oddities, but few are as iconic as a giant dinosaur near Cabazon, a prehistoric roadside spectacle towering over the desert like guardians of the asphalt. They are not geology, but they're absolutely geography culture, markers that say you have entered the Weird West. Road trips here come with landmark mythology, giant animals, mystery spots, abandoned museum skeletons. In California, the roadside is part of the landscape's personality, like the state itself can't resist putting on a show. Number 17. A coast-to-desert climate swing that's particularly unfair. California packs multiple climate worlds into one state. Cool, foggy coast, Mediterranean valleys, alpine cold, brutal desert heat, sometimes within a single day's drive. This is why it feels like a whole continent disguised as a state. You can start in surf spray, cross Golden Ranch country, and end under desert stars. That variety shaped everything: agriculture, migration, cowboy routes, even film location. California doesn't just have microclimates. It has mood swings, and they're written into the map. Did you know California has a ghost town that became an art pilgrimage? A desert mountain that looks like a spilled pile of boulders from space? and beaches where sand can literally squeak under your feet. Now we're going full roadside barker, because California isn't just geography. It's geography with popcorn, neon, and a wink. Number 18. The art mountain that looks like a mirage. In the Imperial Valley, Salvation Mountain rises like a Technicolor hallucination, a hand-built hill covered in biblical messages and thick paint, standing against desert emptiness like a carnival sign left behind by fate. It's not natural geology, but it's a landmark that reshaped the culture map of the region. People drive hours just to see it because it feels impossible. Bright color where nothing should be bright. In California, human weirdness becomes terrain, and the roadside becomes a chapter in the landscape. Number 19. The boulder field that looks like giants dropped a sack of rocks. Joshua Tree's landscapes include massive granite boulders stacked like a toddler's chaotic block tower. Except these blocks weigh tons and look like they were placed by a bored titan. The shapes come from weathering and fractures over time, turning solid rock into rounded piles with secret alcoves and narrow passes. Cowboy climbers and desert wanderers have long used these boulders as shelter, lookout points, and legend factories. It's the kind of terrain that makes you whisper, "How is this real?" Number 20. The desert tree that isn't a tree at all. Joshua trees aren't actually trees. They're a type of yucca, and they're basically the mascots of weird botany. They can live for a long time, survive harsh drought, and grow into shapes that look like they're waving at passing cars. Their relationship with specific moths is famously specialized, making their reproduction feel like a dedicated handshake with nature. When you see a forest of them under a sunset, it looks like a Dr. Seuss scene collided with a cowboy postcard. Whimsical, eerie, and unmistakably California. Number 21. The squeaking beaches of the coast. Some California beaches have sand that squeaks or sings underfoot when the grains are the right size and dryness. A tiny soundtrack of crunch and chirp as you walk. It's not everywhere, and that's what makes it feel like a secret. Imagine strolling a foggy shoreline and the ground answers back with little squeaks like the beach is alive. Coastal explorers, kids, and curious road trippers notice it first, then can't unhear it. California, where even sand can be a performer. Number 22. The marine forest bigger than people realize. Off California's coast are kelp forests, underwater jungles that grow fast and create entire ecosystems, sheltering fish, sea otters, and a dizzying web of life. These aren't just pretty scuba scenes. They're coastal infrastructures, dampening waves and supporting fisheries. Early coastal communities relied on marine abundance the way ranchers relied on grass. When kelp thrives, the ocean feels alive. When it struggles, the whole system trembles. It's a reminder that California's Wild West isn't only land. It extends into the sea. Number 23. A desert lakebed that can become a mirror world. After rare rains, some desert playas in California become temporary shallow lakes, turning into mirror surfaces that reflect the sky so perfectly, it looks like you're walking on a portal. For a few days, the desert becomes an optical illusion. Clouds below you, mountains doubled, horizons erased. People chase these moments like hunters chase trophies. Cameras out, mouths open. The West has always been about timing. Show up wrong, you see dust. Show up right, you see magic laid flat across the earth. Number 24. The town that exists mostly as a famous sign. California has places that feel like punctuation marks on the map. A name, a sign, a vibe, and not much else. Highway culture built these legends. A last gas station, a diner, a strange museum, a photo op so iconic it becomes the town's main industry. In the old frontier days, outposts existed for water and horses. Today, some exist for selfies and stories. That's California's geography too. The human urge to place a label, mythologize it, and make it real through repetition. Number 25. A coastal lagoon that feels like a Wild West estuary. California's estuaries, where rivers meet the sea, are some of the most productive ecosystems on Earth. They're nurseries for fish, feeding stations for birds, and buffers against storms. The San Francisco Bay Delta system is a watery crossroad that helped shape the state's development and still drives major water battles today. Imagine it as the state's circulatory system. Move the water wrong, and everything downstream suffers. The Old West fought over land. California fights over flow. And the map shows why. Number 26. The mountain pass that becomes a modern wagon route. California's mountain passes are more than scenic drives. They're the state's historic choke points. Long before freeways, they decided where wagons could go, where towns could survive, where cattle could move. Even today, major routes funnel through the same geography, like the land is still directing traffic. When snow closes a pass, modern California suddenly feels like the 1800s again. Isolated pockets, supply chains strained, routes detoured. The Sierras still set rules. We've just traded horses for semis. Number 27. A desert wind gap that can turn into a giant air tunnel. Some California valleys and passes act like wind funnels, accelerating air into powerful gust corridors. That's why you see endless wind turbines in certain areas. The state is harvesting geography itself. It's like the land is exhaling through a narrow gap non-stop. Early ranchers cursed these winds because they dried soil and pushed livestock. Today, those same winds spin blades that power cities. Same air, different era. California loves that kind of twist. The thing that once tormented you becomes the thing that saves you. Number 28. The rock soup hills that create rare wildflowers. Serpentine soil and other mineral-heavy terrains in California can be so chemically harsh that only specialized plants survive, creating pockets of rare wildflowers and unique ecosystems. It's like nature's private club. If you can handle the minerals, you get the VIP access. These areas can look normal until spring hits, then suddenly explode into blooms found nowhere else. Botanists chase them like treasure hunters. It's frontier survival at the microscopic level. Plants that adapted to a toxic buffet and turned it into a home field advantage. Number 29. The coast where dunes meet cliffs in a tight squeeze. In some coastal stretches, California crams sand dunes, wetlands, and steep bluffs into a narrow strip, creating a landscape that shifts with every storm season. Dunes migrate, cliffs crumble, and the boundary between land and sea becomes negotiable. It's not just science, it's unstable beauty. People build near it, then act shocked when the ocean collects rent. The Old West taught hard lessons about rivers. California's coast teaches hard lessons about waves. The shoreline is alive, and it moves. Number 30. The desert night sky that turns roads into stargates. Away from city glow, California's desert delivers night skies so packed with stars, it feels like the universe is leaning close. The Milky Way becomes a bright smear overhead, meteor showers look unreal, and the silence is so deep you can hear your own thoughts rearranging. Cowboy camps use the stars as calendars and compasses. Road trippers use them as therapy. It's geography as emotion. You don't just see a place, you feel smaller, calmer, and a little haunted in the best way. Number 31. A coastal icebox current that keeps the water shockingly cold. Even under bright sun, much of California's ocean stays cold because of major currents and upwelling. Deep water rising to the surface like nature's refrigerated conveyor belt. That cold water fuels rich marine life, but also catches swimmers off guard. 1 minute, it's beach day. The next minute, it's involuntary yelp day. The ocean isn't a warm bathtub. It's a working system, bringing nutrients up like a chef plating a feast for the sea. The coast is gorgeous, yes, but it's also serious. Number 32. A canyon country that hides seasonal waterfalls. In parts of California, waterfalls appear only in certain seasons, a blink and it's gone phenomenon. After rains or snow melt, Cliffs suddenly sprout white ribbons of water. Then weeks later, nothing. It's like the land is teasing you. Hikers learn to time their visits the way ranchers time grazing. Show up wrong, and you miss the show. These temporary waterfalls can turn familiar trails into wonderland routes, with roaring water where dry rocks usually sit. California doesn't always keep its miracles on a schedule. Number 33. The living desert where soil can be a community. Desert ground isn't dead. In many California deserts, biological soil crust, tiny communities of organisms help hold soil in place, retain moisture, and support plant life. Step on them, and it can take years to recover. It's wild. The desert's skin is alive. Old frontier riders didn't know the science, but they learned to respect fragile ground because overuse meant dust, erosion, and trouble. Today, the message is louder. The desert isn't empty. It's delicate, and it's working. Number 34. A beach to mountain distance that feels illegal. California has places where you can be near the ocean and, within a relatively short drive, be staring at snow-capped peaks. A geographic flex that feels unfair to every other state. That closeness creates a wild day trip culture. Surf in the morning, snow in the afternoon. It also creates ecological stacking. Totally different habits packed tightly like layers in a cake. The result is a state that never sits still because the terrain is constantly daring you to change plans. California doesn't do one vibe. Did you know California has valleys that can trap air like a lid? Mountains that manufacture their own weather, and ghost rails and ghost roads that still cut the desert like scars? This final run is pure high-voltage geography, cowboy myth, natural science, and roadside chaos, all stitched together by one state that refuses to be normal. Number 35. The mountain cloud factory that builds thunderheads. In some California ranges, rising air gets forced upward and cools, building dramatic clouds that can pop into storms with startling speed. Mountains become weather engines, squeezing moisture from air like a sponge. That's why you can watch clear skies transforming into towering clouds over peaks, like the land is summoning atmosphere on command. Trail crews, ranch hands, and climbers learn to read those clouds like warning flags. In California, you don't only pack water and snacks, you pack humility. The mountains can change the script fast. Number 36. The valley lid that traps heat and smog. Certain California basins can trap air under temperature inversions, like atmosphere puts a lid on the valley and refuses to let it breathe. Heat, pollution, and haze can build, and the landscape feels stuck in a slow cooker. Historically, this shaped settlement patterns and health outcomes because geography decides where air moves and where it stalls. It's invisible terrain, not hills and rivers, but airflow and pressure. The wild part is how physical it feels. Step out into that trapped air and it's like the sky gained weight. Number 37. The ghost railroad towns of the desert. California deserts are haunted by infrastructure, abandoned rail sidings, half-buried foundations, and towns that existed because trains needed water, repairs, or a place to swap crews. When routes changed or resources ran out, the settlements deflated like punctured balloons. You can still find scraps, rusted metal, wind-polished glass, odd alignments in the sand where streets used to be. It's Old West geography in fossil form. The land keeps receipts, even when humans leave. The desert quietly preserves the outline of our ambition. Number 38. The wild horse and burro country. In parts of California, especially desert and rangeland regions, feral horses and burros roam, living echoes of frontier transportation that slipped out of human control and became part of the ecosystem story. Seeing them against the empty basins feels like time travel. a cowboy postcard that wandered off the page. But it's complicated too. Grazing pasture, water competition, management debates. California's geography doesn't just host romantic images, it forces tough choices. Still, when a wild burro appears on a dusty road at sunset, logic takes a back seat. Number 39. The giant natural bridge coastline in miniature. California's coastline features sea arches, caves, and rock bridges carved by relentless surf. Sculptures made by water wielding time like a chisel. Some arches collapse, new ones form, and the coastline becomes a rotating art exhibit. Walk near these formations and you hear the ocean working, pounding, sucking, grinding stones into sand. It's not gentle, it's industrial. The West old miners carved rock for gold. The Pacific carves rock for nothing but momentum. And the results can look so perfect you'd swear someone built them. Number 40. The hidden underwater mountains offshore. Off California's coast, the seafloor isn't flat. It's rugged, with canyons and rises that influence currents and marine life. Submarine canyons can funnel nutrients and shape fisheries, effectively turning underwater typography into a food delivery system. Most people never see it, but it's part of why the coast teems with life. California isn't just dramatic above ground, it's dramatic below the waves too. The land doesn't stop at the shoreline, it keeps going, carved and folded in darkness. Number 41. The desert route where heat distorts reality. In California deserts, heat mirages can make roads look wet, mountains appear to float, and distances feel like they're playing tricks on you. That shimmer is physics, light bending through hot air layers, but it feels like magic, like the desert is messing with your senses. Early travelers misjudged distances because the land literally lied to their eyes. Even now, long highway stretches can feel endless because the horizon wobbles like liquid. California's deserts don't just test your engine, they test your perception. Number 42. The canyon that turns sound into a stage. Some California canyons and rock amphitheaters create strong echoes, making a shout bounce back and forth like the land is answering. It's why certain natural spots feel theatrical. The terrain shapes sound. Imagine a lone rider calling across the canyon and hearing it return, doubled, stretched, ghost-like. That kind of place turns into legend territory fast. Cowboys used acoustics for communication. Modern visitors use it for pure delight. Geography isn't just what you see, it's what you hear. And in California, the rocks can talk back. Number 43. A coastline where earthquakes can lift the shore. California's active tectonics can cause coastal land to rise or drop during major events, changing tide levels, exposing new rock, or drowning old shoreline features. Over time, this reshapes habitats. Tide pools shift, beaches change, cliffs destabilize. It's a reminder that the coast isn't permanent, it's a draft. The West loves permanence myths. This is my land. California's geology laughs at that. Here, the ground is capable of editing property lines with one sudden movement. Nature is the ultimate surveyor, and it doesn't ask permission. Number 44. The Sky Island effect in mountain ecology. California mountains can act like islands in the sky. Cooler, wetter habitats isolated above hotter lowlands. That creates pockets where certain plants and animals thrive, while the world below is completely different. It's like climbing through biomes as if you were changing countries. These sky islands make biodiversity explode, but they also make ecosystems vulnerable. When climate shifts, species can't just move uphill forever. The mountain top is a ceiling. It's gorgeous and fragile at once, a high elevation frontier with nowhere left to retreat. Number 45. The river engineering that moves water across worlds. California's water projects move water across huge distances and elevations, effectively rewriting where rivers want to go. It's human geography stamped into natural geography. Canals, aqueducts, pumps, reservoirs. The scale is so big, it can feel like the state is its own circulatory system. But every reroute has consequences. Ecosystems downstream, farmland upstream, cities that grow thirsty. In the West, water is power, and California is the ultimate proof. This is a place where the map isn't just drawn by rivers, it's negotiated. Number 46. The wind-polished desert stones. In arid parts of California, rocks can get polished by wind-blown sand, a natural sandblaster that smooths surfaces and can even carve sharp edges over time. These wind-shaped stones and ridges are like the desert's signature, proof that air can sculpt as aggressively as water. People think deserts are static. They're not. They're constantly being etched. Frontier travelers saw the results without understanding the process. They just knew the land felt sharpened. California deserts aren't empty. They're busy, quietly grinding away at geology. Number 47. A coast where fog and sun collide like two worlds. There are days in coastal California when you can stand in bright sun and watch a wall of fog crawling like a living thing, swallowing hills, erasing buildings, rolling like a slow avalanche. It's one of the strangest visual effects. Sunshine on one side, ghost gray on the other. That boundary can move street by street. It's why locals dress like it's two seasons at once. California doesn't have weather. It has weather drama. Cinematic scene changes delivered by the ocean itself. Number 48. The desert palette that makes mountains look painted. In some regions, mineral-rich rock layers created bands of color, reds, browns, creams, that make slopes look painted by hand. As the sun shifts, those colors deepen or fade, turning the land into a moving artwork. It's part geology, part lighting, and part illusion. This is why California landscapes are a film industry cheat code. The terrain already looks staged. Cowboys use these color clues to read distance and weather. Road trippers use them to pull over and stare. The land is a natural billboard. Number 49. The roadside mystery spots that gravity tricks. California is famous for roadside mystery spots, where balls appear to roll uphill and buildings feel tilted. Playful tourist traps that turn physics into entertainment. Sometimes it's clever construction. Sometimes it's terrain and perspective messing with your brain. Either way, it's classic California. Geography used as theater. You can call it kitsch, but it's also a cultural map, proving that in this state, the landscape isn't just admired. It's marketed, mythologized, and turned into a story you can buy a ticket to. Number 50. The Great California Paradox. One state, many planets. California's most insane geography fact might be the whole package. Deserts that shimmer like hallucinations. Coasts that breathe fog. Mountains that trap snow. Valleys that trap air. And faults that keep the ground in suspense. Add cowboy history, gold fever scars, ocean science, and roadside weirdness, and you've got a state that behaves like a collage of worlds. It's not one story. It's 50 stories stacked together. California isn't just the Golden State. It's a geography theme park built by nature with humans adding neon. California is absolutely unhinged in the best way possible. Hottest heat, tallest trees, moving rocks, glowing waves, secret ecosystems, and roadside weirdness that feels like a fever dream with a postcard stamp. If any of these facts made you say, wait, what? Then do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and drop the craziest one in the comments. Because this state isn't just wild. It's basically 5 planets wearing one name.